I want to show you how I would organize this into a multi-paragraph response. And so there's two primary ways you might organize your ideas when you're writing about a text. One would be to move chronologically through the text, which can work if it's a story, because stories are usually told, with a beginning and a middle and an end. So you can follow the logic of that timeline for your organization. But sometimes that won't work as well as organizing thematically, which is our other option, which is to look at what are the common themes that I notice when I look at my ideas. Um, and so I'm going to look at my ideas and I'm going to think, what are some common themes here? One thing I notice is that there's a contrast often between the way something what something is called and what something is actually like. Um, so there's a contrast between the word Victory Mansions, and the reality. Um, there also seems to be a big contrast between Winston and Big Brother. So I'm going to use this theme of contrasts to organize my ideas. And I think, well, Orwell is pointing out some important contrasts that he wants us to see. And I'm also going to use a little bit of chronological organization because I'm going to start at the beginning by talking about the clock striking 13. Okay, so I'm going to show you my other document that I created. Here is my paragraph version of these details, and I took the time to write this out, and I edited it. I edited it a bit, so it's not the it's a little rough, but let me show you how I organized it. First of all, I gave it a very brief heading with my name and the assignment, microscope analysis. And then I wrote page 1 because that's the page number that I'm analyzing. But you will probably be analyzing different pages, so you'll write those numbers up here. All right, so my first paragraph is about the clock striking 13. Orwell opens 1984 with an ominous image, a clock striking 13. This detail immediately tells readers that they are entering into a world different from their own. This world is recognizable. It has clocks, flats, and electricity. However, there is something different about it. Further, because the number 13 is often associated with bad luck, this opening detail makes the world we are entering seem sinister. Something seems wrong here. Okay, so as the opening scene continues, okay, so this is my nice transitional word to show you that right now I'm moving chronologically, right? But soon I'm just going to focus on the theme of contrast and contradiction. As the opening scene continues, we soon learn what is wrong. We meet Winston Smith, a man who lives in a place called Victory Mansions. However, this is not a mansion, but a flat or apartment with many tenants. There is dust that swirls in as Winston enters, and it smells bad, like boiled cabbage and old rag mats. We learn that Winston must enter this smelly building, and then he must climb up 7 flights of stairs to his apartment because the elevator doesn't work. Apparently, the electricity has been cut off in preparation for Hate Week. This is not a nice place to live, and Orwell uses these details to show us that there is a clear contradiction between language and reality. There is nothing mansion-like or victorious about Winston's living situation. Okay, I'm going to stop for just a moment to point out how I'm using facts from the book, right? My facts are quotes and actual details from the book to illustrate my ideas. So if my idea is that there's a big contradiction between language and reality, and that's what Orwell wants us to see, I'm using all of these facts from the book to illustrate that point. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to a different idea, but it's related because it's also about a contrast or contradiction. And here, my transitional sentence makes that connection. Orwell also sets up another important contrast in this scene, the strength of Big Brother versus the weakness of Winston Smith. Smith has an ordinary name, and the only detail Orwell gives us about him is that he has a varicose ulcer above his right ankle that makes it hard to climb the stairs. This one detail seems to emphasize Winston's lack of physical strength and potential infirmity. In contrast, the poster of Big Brother on the wall is huge and powerful. The man in the Big Brother poster is described as ruggedly handsome, and his eyes seem to follow Winston as he moves through the hallway. The poster is also described as too large for indoor display, even though it is being displayed indoors. The powerful differential between Winston and Big Brother is a bit frightening. The fact that Big Brother is watching you indicates that Winston is under its or his power. The poster seems to own the building. Big Brother seems to own the world. Since Orwell tells us that Hate Week is coming up, we can assume that there is likely some sort of violence or persecution that might be connected to this presence. Big Brother does not seem to be supportive and helpful. Much like the name Victory Mansions, Big Brother seems like a misleading phrase. In this way, Orwell is introducing us to one of the central themes of the novel. Language can obscure reality. This theme makes me wonder if Winston Smith, the seemingly ordinary and somewhat weak protagonist, is going to surprise us too. Perhaps his ordinary name and demeanor are obscuring the truth of who he is. Maybe Winston Smith, like Victory Mansions, is a name meant to mislead us. Maybe Smith is more unique and powerful than we initially think. If so, Orwell has found yet another way to show readers the importance of thinking critically about the way that language guides our perceptions of people, places, and reality.